Clips, clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe and hit the bell. Everything will be well in 1995. Plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Why does a dog wag its tail? Because a dog is smarter than its tail. If the tail were smarter, the tail would wag the dog. Wag the dog in politics is the act of creating diversion from a damaging issue. Here at Wag the Dog News, the tail doesn't wag the dog. Enjoy. Clips, clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the bell, everything will be well. 1995. Plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Oh, righty, boob tubes, mic check, 1, 2. Welcome to Wag the Dog News, where the tail doesn't wag the dog. Anyway, the reason I'm starting a few minutes early, or supposedly a few minutes early, is because of what is going on with the RT streams, in the sense that you can't get them on the YouTube, so you don't have the DVR ability to rewind and pause the live broadcast. You just need to play it as is. So I need to catch the RTs at the top of the hour. So I will be doing that. And then having a look at the BBCs. And then having a look at a few wee articles which points to the fact that the recent strike near the Polish border may have been Russia striking at a training centre where the Ukrainians / NATO were training up the Foreign Legion, the foreigners that have subscribed to go and fight in Ukraine, which will be interesting. So, let me just check the levels. There we go, sorted. And we should be getting the top of the hour news in a minute or two, so happy days. Remember, if you do get shits and giggles and appreciate what I do, make sure you stick a wee thumbs up. It's much appreciated, and it helps me sleep at night. Although the way I slept last night's gave me a sore neck. Not good. Is that for real? Is that RT take the piss, or is it for real? Is there actually people out there that want RT branded shit? Fuck me.
Seem wrong when old rules just don't hold, and a new world is yet to shape out.
Gotta love RT's meat. It's like Triffer Channel on steroids.
Find themselves worlds apart. We choose to look for common ground.
Alright, should be the top of the hour news now.
Is your
as bad as every other channel with other fucking adverts, man.
inner world transformed? What will make you feel safer? Isolation or community? Are you going the right way, or are you being led somewhere? Which direction? What is truth? What is fake? In a world corrupted, you need to descend.
Going underground,
So
going
join us in the
underground.
depths, or remain in the shallows.
Well, mate, nobody will be watching that anymore. George Galloway's channel still seems to be putting out content. I just need to get up to date whether it's actually like RT content, if that makes sense. Here we go. On with the show.
This is RT International. At least 20 people are killed and dozens more injured after an alleged rocket attack on Donetsk by the Ukrainian army. A warning, you may find the following images disturbing.
Yay! The best stuff. Oh yeah, man, we've not enough dead bodies on camera. We're blurred out stuff and plaguing out the dead bodies sitting there shredded
in the North
to
Donetsk
fuck.
region. More people are now using humanitarian corridors to flee. RT visits one such area, speaking to people who've been forced to leave their homes.
Куда едешь?
Мы спасаемся.
Знаете, как страшно, там погребе 2 недели просидеть.
And with some
No
going
different from the
so far as to
BBC,
compare
dripping dead
President
bodies in
Putin
front of
to
you,
Hitler,
selling you
we
fucking
look at whether
stories.
such comparisons could be more fitting for other Western leaders in the context
This is
of
funny.
other conflicts
Sorry, they
across the
caught
Middle
this
East
morning.
and beyond.
Oh, and anybody wondering where I'm streaming this from, it's blocked worldwide on the YouTubes, but right now, as things stand, you can get it directly from their
Monday,
website.
March the 14th. Welcome to the News Hour on RT.
But as I said, the streaming software's pish, it doesn't have the
20
DVR thing.
civilians have been killed in the center of Donetsk in a rocket strike carried out by the Ukrainian military. At least 28 more people are injured, including children. That is all according to the Russian Defense Ministry. A warning to viewers, you may find the following images disturbing. Indeed, shocking footage is coming out of Donbass, of a street covered in blood. Emergency services are at the scene helping those injured. Many of them remain in a critical state. Local authorities have said the rocket
This might
strike
be in
was a
retaliation
terrorist
for
attack,
Russia
claiming
killing
it
all the fucking
intentionally
foreign
targeted
legion over
civilians.
next to the
Once
Polish
again,
border.
a warning to viewers that you may find the following images distressing.
Fucking hell, man. Right, I'm signing up for the army. I don't care what army, just some army. I kill some bastard. These fucking images make me want to go kill some cunt. Oh, that's fucking... That's par for the course. Afternoon, Shug. How you doing, man?
Shot down the cluster munitions it was carrying, then exploded as it hit the ground, hence the number of dead. That is a quote. Authorities have claimed that if the missile wasn't shot down, far more people would have been killed. Ukraine, meanwhile, denies aiming a missile at Donetsk. With more, here's RT's Murat Gazdiev.
There are still competing reports as to what exactly happened, whether there was just the one missile, which was apparently knocked out of the air by anti-air defenses, nevertheless, which released its devastating payload on downtown Donetsk, which is a very lively area full of cafes, full of shops, restaurants, and parks where a great multitude
I
of
hope
people
you've had your
are
breakfast
found at
or your
all
lunch.
times of the day.
This happened in the center of Donetsk, when everything was basically calm. We were in the
Copyright
office,
thing.
there were several explosions on the street, shattered glass began to fall. They took the staff the back of the office right away. There were a few more explosions, then it sort of calmed down. We went outside. My car was on fire. I tried to put it out. I saw a woman around the corner. Unfortunately, she had lost a leg. I put on a tourniquet with a cable.
We were inside. I was behind the counter. There were buyers.
Cheers,
and we
RT.
heard a strong, very, very strong sound. Something had fallen. And we immediately got on the floor. Then we heard the same a second and a third time. We didn't get up for 6 to 7 minutes. We were hiding in the back of the store.
got
The noise was very
dead
strong,
pregnant women
as if
to
the
look
sky
forward
was
to on the
falling.
BBC.
There are also other
Yeah,
reports that
good way to
once,
start the week.
The Ukrainian military realized that their ballistic missile, Tochka-U ballistic missile, had been shot down, that they launched also a rocket artillery strike, again on downtown Donetsk, which hasn't been targeted with such an attack, which hasn't seen this number of civilian casualties. We are told among them at least one, perhaps numerous children, as well as
Sounds like he needs to blow his nose, I think,
who
mate.
have been injured. We have seen some of them with bandaged arms, legs with blood splattered in the streets.
Russian,
it truly is horrific.
brought up in England
scene
accent,
right
isn't he?
now in downtown Donetsk. Nevertheless, as I mentioned, there is speculation that there was also a rocket artillery attack,
as you
which
can
would again
clearly
explain
hear, there is a
the
shortage
wide
of
range
Kleenex
devastation.
going on as well.
Hundreds of meters
I
of
couldn't blow my
storefronts,
nose.
of cars, of buildings devastated and marked with shrapnel, thousands of pieces of shrapnel, which again caused this devastating toll.
Right, you're telling us it's fucking disturbing footage and yet you've got it on fucking rinse and repeat.
Regime, a Tochka-U tactical missile was launched at a residential area
We get
of the
the
city
idea.
of Donetsk. As a result of the explosion of the cluster warhead, 20 civilians were killed and another 28 people, including children, were injured.
More than the
and
cluster
taken to a
warhead, this
medical
is what we
facility.
technically
The use
known
of
as a
such weapons in a city where there
clusterfuck.
are no armed forces targeting the civilian population is a war crime. The use of cluster munitions proves that the purpose of the strike is to kill as many civilians as possible.
Right.
The use of such
No,
weapons
you've
is
got the
impossible
West
without permission
saying the Russia's
from
doing war
Kiev.
crimes and Russia saying
we must,
the
of course,
Ukrainians
wait
are
for
doing
more
war
information,
crimes.
that
Is it
is
possible
being
both of them are
released
just
as we
fucking
speak by, the Donetsk
doing war?
People's Republic
And in war,
authorities there to find out
fucking rule
what
books go out the
exactly
fuck
happened
window,
and what
man.
the consequences of this are
People
going to be,
fucking
because
learn
Vladimir
nothing for
Putin, the
history.
Russian side, have
Oh,
said
hang on a
repeatedly,
second,
what is
Jeeves.
happening in
Let
Donetsk,
me
and
see
this is
the
8
approved
years
ways I can
shelling and
kill
war by
this
the Ukrainian
fucker.
military on cities
Oh,
such as
yes,
Donetsk and Lugansk.
while I'm reading my rule book,
killing
there's a
more than
chance
a
you might
million
walk
people
up and
plotting
shoot
against
me in the
both of them.
fucking head.
But what has
But
been
no,
happening has
that's
been
not
a
gentlemanly
genocide
conduct now.
targeted
I'm going to
annihilation of
read my rule
Russian-speaking
book first.
in eastern Ukraine.
Our senior correspondent Murat Gazdiev on the ground. Now, in the past 24 hours, Russia says its forces in Ukraine advanced some 11 kilometres. The conflict is now into its 19th day. A Ministry of Defence spokesperson added that during the night, the Russian military shot down 4 Ukrainian drones and destroyed 187 other items of Ukrainian military hardware.
See what he thinks.
Russia says over 3,900 such items have been destroyed since the beginning of the conflict.
Yeah, hello Bono.
You can see
on Bono. Hello, alright Bono.
The show
How you doing?
Antonov aircraft
Who benefits?
factory in Kiev. The facility manufactures transport and military aircraft along with their components. Ukrainian
Bono on the
media
phone.
claim the factory was hit by Russian missiles. And also footage from the city of Volnovakha in the Donetsk Republic, which is said to now be under the full control of Russian and Donetsk troops. The video shows a local hospital, which it's been claimed Ukrainian forces were using as a military position. However, the Russian Investigative Committee has initiated criminal proceedings against Ukrainian nationalist groups, claiming it was they, rather, who destroyed that hospital using artillery and rockets. We heard from a woman who said she was forced to shelter from the shelling in a basement.
It was a big revolutionary vodka. It was the Russians. It was, what channel I was on? It was the Ukrainians.
The Ukrainian army was hiding among us.
Ukrainian army, yes. Vodka and Ukrainian army. Vodka and Ukrainian army. Army, Ukrainian army bad.
Where drone footage shows an intense battle between Russian and Ukrainian forces on the ground. According to some reports, Russian troops have surrounded the southwest region from different directions and advanced further into Mariupol in attempts to bring it under their control. While the town of Sartana near Mariupol is reportedly now under the full control of the Donetsk army. During fighting, many homes were left badly damaged with no power or heating,
really,
and residential areas allegedly came under fire from the Ukrainian military.
If the mast that they had their flag nailed to wasn't clear
Many locals
before
say
this
they were
war,
unable to leave the
it's
town
got to be now,
after
surely.
green corridors were targeted.
You know, surely people can see that there is one-sided as the BBC.
It says is the destruction of multiple Ukrainian rocket
They were very
launchers.
clever because they'd done a different angle. They went and
show
got
the
this
detonation of ammunition stored in a hangar.
enfranchised youth and the conspiracy theorists by blowing smoke up their arse.
Elsewhere, a Russian fighter jet pilot managed to return to his home airbase after being hit by Ukrainian anti-aircraft missile fire.
Oh, he's a hero.
Lieutenant Colonel Denis Litvinov helped avert disaster by diverting the rockets away from the attack aircraft. Both men have been nominated for state awards for saving lives and completing their mission.
He must have get bullied in Russia.
After attacking the target, we performed a maneuver and withdrew. A rocket then hit the engine of my wingman's plane, but the pilot kept his cool, courageously straightened the plane and continued forward. I could see him in my rearview mirror to the left and gave him the command to move forward. I then began infrared countermeasures and moved behind his plane. I watched as the rockets went under me, from behind to the infrared, all the while my wingman continuing forward. We were now on our way back to our airfield. I helped him with commands to straighten his plane, as all his equipment had failed, along with his control devices and engines. Nevertheless, he continued to pilot the plane back to base. On landing, his left landing gear collapsed, but he still calmly stopped the plane, cleared the lane on the left, and provided landing space for all the planes that landed after him.
On a good day.
Extraordinary bravery. Well, evacuation attempts have been successful in the town of Stary Krim, again near Mariupol. People are able to leave their homes, which, like in so many other areas affected by the conflict, are no longer fit for habitation. It's even harder for families with young children. We heard from those who were able to leave via the humanitarian corridors.
За детей больше вот опасность. Они уже даже боятся, уже по ночам спать не могут.
Негде жить. Дома свет выключили, в поселке выключили свет. У нас все на электричестве с маленьким ребенком. Пришлось по соседям ходить, проситься в подвалы, и поэтому раз получилась возможность уехать, мы уехали.
Well, forces from the People's Republics are engaged in hidden battles in the north of the Donetsk region. With fighting intensifying, more people are now using humanitarian corridors.
It's almost like RT's, the Russian Army's personal international news organization.
We're driving towards the front line, from which ordinary people have been running in the last weeks. The signs and sounds of a close-by battlefield become more and more present. We stop the first convoy of cars we see.
Civilians are trying to flee the war zone. We're now going to talk to them.
Say something that we can
There's a
put
sign
out to
here,
the
it
world.
says, kids inside. They hope someone will read it.
They believe this may protect them. Humanitarian and evacuation convoys are often
I can't read Russian.
Donbass.
Foreign Legion will shoot that fucking hang up.
Да, мы все с Кудряшовки.
Почему решили...
Что большие бои там начались. Поэтому уехали. Дети, боятся все это, нужно вывозить детей. Поэтому уехали.
Как вы, малыши? Мама говорит, вы боитесь?
Да.
Что там?
Страшно, сильно бомбят.
Давно?
Да, давно начали.
Come on, you're going on international TV, speak fucking English.
Знаете, как страшно, там по времени 2 недели просидеть.
While her mom cannot stop crying, a little girl finds words to describe their situation.
Куда едешь?
Мы спасаемся.
We continue our journey. Varvarovka is where we stop. It is the most recent village to come under the control of the Lugansk army in this area, New authorities organize filled kitchen and invite local residents. Not many accepted invitation so far.
Tasty! I mean, these Europeans, man, they'll be breaking out the croissants. Or will it just be Russian gulag slop?
People here can't seem to get used to the sounds of fighting.
The front line is less than 10 kilometers away from here. We can see it from here, and we can hear it from here. And this is the local church, and this is where locals hide.
It's Sunday, and the service is already over.
Well, they're not hiding very well, because they just went on international TV with a fucking reporter going, "This is their hiding space."
The towns of Severodonetsk and Lysychansk are right there, and they have been seeing fierce fighting for many days. The forces of the Lugansk Republic have been attacking, but it's really hard for them to advance because there are many civilians trapped inside. And since they promised they will do their best to protect civilian population, it's really hard for them to advance. So there is not much progress at this point.
There are unverified videos showing Ukrainian forces deploying their weapons in the middle of residential areas. Some of those who managed to escape say it's all true.
They do indeed put tanks in school backyards and near houses, yes. The hide everywhere, and the shelling comes from all sides.
Numerous videos show people evacuating from frontline towns. There are groups on social media where people can find the latest updates. But it's clear that this is not enough to help all those who want
man,
to
I wish I
escape to a
had
safer
the
place.
fucking YouTube version of this so I could fast forward it. This is tiresome now, man.
Yeah,
it's
and
the
just
same
an
shit.
additional line, more than 4 tons of humanitarian aid has been newly delivered by the Russian army to residents of the war-torn Kharkov
the
region.
British reacting,
The
I
aid
heard.
brought in by
God,
helicopters
what was it?
includes ration kits,
30% of the world's grain or something comes from Ukraine?
The Russian Defense Ministry has also created
over here in the UK we're okay because we're self-sufficient. I think the BBC actually touches on it if they're still going to be running the same shit at 1
The
o'clock.
Donbass Volunteers Union has claimed that over 16,000 volunteers from Syria are ready to help Russian forces, adding there are thousands more in Russia itself.
See, he's Irish, he's obviously a member of the IRA and quite
an
happy to work for
in
Putin.
Lugansk, who told us more about the volunteers already serving in Donbass.
Были у нас добровольцы-сербы, уехали на данный момент. На данный момент итальянцы, 2 итальянца. Один разговаривать не может, разговаривать по-своему. Один русскоговорящий итальянец служит у него переводчиком. Ну, тоже ребята помогают, настроены тоже по-боевому. Ну, на данный момент, ну, я особо, ну, в полях.
Oh my god, so they're quite happy to turn this into a big international fucking shit show on all sides.
Alongside the regular army, just like the volunteer we heard from there, the war began years ago. Alexander was a civilian, but became a soldier and later commander to protect his home from the Ukrainian army. Despite losing his legs to frostbite, he still does what he can and says support for those on the front line is critical.
Когда наступил у нас 14-й год, и когда Украина начала, как бы так сказать, агитационную свою деятельность за Европу и за все, жители Донбасса не понимали их. Жители Донбасса сделали свой выбор и приняли свое решение оставаться частью России, оставаться частью единым народом. Но нас не услышали. И под, как бы сказать, маской всего хорошего, что нам желают, к нам пришли с войной. Нас начали убивать, расстреливать.
This is another side, but it is important to remember, like, just like the BBC, RT are obviously fish or construct talking heads.
И мы восстали, взяли оружие.
Well, my best guess is
Сейчас многие жаждут приехать, помочь нам. Большое количество россиян, наших братьев, друзей,
talking heads to put in front of the camera that are going to say a lot of shit that they particularly want them to say, or they can even like edit it down.
Что они не одни, что у нас миллионы. Нет такой силы в мире, которая смогла бы поставить нас на колени и сломать. Мы не сдадимся никогда и ни при каких обстоятельствах.
Well, in terms of the reaction to what's happening in Ukraine,
Some
U.S. Secretary of
good
State
deeds for
Anthony
the day done,
Blinken has
Davo.
compared the situation with the siege of Leningrad by Nazi Germany during World War II, while others have even dubbed President Putin
Mate, I've got no doubt there's people dying in the Donbass region as well as on the opposite side.
For other leaders.
Exactly as you said, man, when there's a line in the sand drawn.
Dusting off their
there's
knee-jerk
Hitler.
Hitler comparisons for the new enemy du jour. For once,
Hitler,
highlighting Russia's
kaput.
unparalleled anti-Nazi struggle in World War II. But Donut Jester said it was only to try to stick the knife further into current leader Vladimir Putin.
Every Russian has learned about the siege of Leningrad during World War II. Sadly, history has repeated itself, but now it's the Russian government cruelly starving Ukrainian cities.
Dropping a bomb on a maternity hospital, it's the final proof that what is happening is genocide of Ukraine.
Act on by their leaders
God,
and
they're
media.
still going on
Some
about that
protesters in
maternity
the West
hospital.
have rushed to Photoshop Hitler's moustache to the Russian president's face or write his country's name with swastikas and SS symbols. The U.S. State Department's mouthpiece, Voice of America, never one to overanalyze or miss a tired anti-Russian jibe, simply dubs Vladimir Putin the new Hitler. It won't surprise experienced analysts, though, who will remember MSM's rush to make exactly the same comparison
Nice start of
when
the day,
Russia
Davo.
reunified with Crimea in 2015.
Uh-oh, the deep state Illuminati. Uh-oh, is this, am I going to actually lose? Oh, no!
Drawing parallels with the Second World War
Hitler's
and playing with history like
hit
that
squad-
is a two-way street, really.
Internet squad
Here's,
are
for
on
example, another lasting diplomatic history lesson
They pressed some
from
buttons,
America's top
done some
diplomat.
hacking
It's
of the highest
impossible
order.
to see the images of people seeking refuge in Kyiv's metro in 2022 and not think of those who sheltered in the London Underground in 1942.
Okay then, how about the American Air Force dropping firebombs on Tokyo and killing more than 100,000 civilians in just 48 hours in 1945? Can we compare that?
Where was the German one? Was it
more
Dresden?
horrific assault to what's happening in
The
Ukraine?
fucking British Air
Did it make
Force, I don't know if
Roosevelt
it
the
was
new
European
Hitler,
as well, but the
or
British
does
Air
it make
Force
Putin the new Roosevelt?
done a bomb
When
in
a
the
US drone hit a car in
civilians'
Afghanistan in August,
cities,
killing
raised
10
one
family
city
members,
right to the
including
ground,
7
man.
children,
God, I
because
can't
the US
even
command
remember the
apparently
amount of
mistook
people
them
they
for
killed.
terrorists, later admitting
And it
the
was
wrongdoing.
deliberately
Does it make
carpet
Joe Biden
bombing
the
a
new
city
Hitler?
It's an
to
honest
fuck up the
mistake.
Hitler.
I understand the consequences, but it's
To
not
fuck up
criminal
their
conduct, random conduct, negligence.
To fuck up
Stupid
their
thought
civilians.
without any proof, without any investigation. They attacked us and killed our children, and we will never forgive them.
When the Saudi-led
Shall
coalition
have
bombed
Russia's
a wedding in
defense.
Yemen in 2018,
They're like,
killing
hey,
20
we're doing
civilians
it.
there, does that make
But
Saudi Arabia the
the
new
guy's
Nazi
done it as
Germany?
well.
Why did Western
Whether it's a
leaders
good defence or not, who
talk
knows,
about
but,
history and
like,
draw
they're
parallels
kinda-
with Hitler's Germany when the US
The
and
West have
other
just
NATO
lost
countries
the
bombed into the Middle
perception
Ages, Iraq,
or the in
Afghanistan,
politics
Vietnam, Yugoslavia,
and
which is also in
geopolitics.
Europe.
Like
Does
that
it mean you can
is
only
all about
become
perception.
Hitler if
Doesn't
you're
mean
not
if you're
Washington's
good.
buddy?
Doesn't mean it
And if we
doesn't
stick to
matter
this
if you're
logic,
good. Doesn't
what
matter
can we
if
say
you're
about Ukraine's
Hitler.
leader himself, since his country
It
has been
matters how
shelling
you're
Donetsk and Lugansk
perceived.
breakaway republics
And
for
look
8
what's
years,
happening right
leading
now
up
with
to
it.
this war, with schools and hospitals being bombed, civilians, including children, killed.
Oh God!
The official UN
I
figures
listened
point
to a wee bit
almost
of George
14,000
Galloway earlier on this
people
morning,
losing
and
their
he said
lives
that there
during
was
these long years of
Strictly
daily
Come
death and
Dancing
suffering.
dancers
Does
kicked
that
out because they're
make
Russian or
Vladimir
some
Zelensky
shit,
the new
man.
Hitler?
The Ukraine on your news and Ukraine in real life are two completely different countries, and the main difference between them is ours is real. You are told we are Nazis. But could a people who lost more than 8 million lives in the battle against Nazism support Nazism?
Yes, and still Vladimir Zelensky somehow has been tolerating torch processions in Ukraine's capital, glorifying Stepan Bandera, the Nazi collaborator responsible for unspeakable acts, massacres of thousands, and somehow viewed as a national hero by modern-day Ukrainian neo-Nazi mayors and lawmakers, let alone the spread of the far-right ideology among Ukraine's militia units that even Western media had to admit. And yet it's only Vladimir Putin's face being photoshopped and only Russia demonized as a country and people. The reasons for such unique discrimination on this scale may be a topic for analysis by cooler heads in years to come. If you're waiting for level-headed reasoning by the Western establishment, don't hold your breath. The EU is preparing a fourth package of anti-Russian sanctions. That's as European leaders urge citizens to prepare for higher energy bills in order to defeat President Putin. The bloc wants to cut its reliance on Russian oil and gas in response to the country's offensive in Ukraine. Amid rising commodity prices, steelmakers across the continent are also reducing operations as electricity prices surge. Here's RT's Charlotte Dubinsky.
Well, the EU is on this mission to ditch Russian oil and gas, and that hit a pretty big hitch in the last week. That's because leaders who met at Versailles on Thursday and Friday couldn't agree on an all-out stoppage of buying that gas. However, what they've said they could do is they could achieve this by 2027, so in 5 years' time. Now, in the meantime, what the EU has said is it wants to reduce the reliance on Russian energy by around 2/3 by the end of this year. How is it going to do that? Well, it's talked about diversifying to other sources. That could be green energy, but that could also be energy coming in for other countries. The reality is, though, that this may not be a quick fix. For example, if the EU looks
America
to the
might be buying oil off of Venezuela.
Natural gas, there could actually be an incredibly long delay before that energy could substitute the amount of energy that Russia currently supplies.
The earliest possible where we can start making a dent is in 2 years, and then in 4 years, again, if we put all stops out, we can start delivering up to potentially 120 million tons.
Now, one of the reasons that the EU wants to shift away from Russia is the realization that just by buying oil from Russia at the moment, it's contributing some $285 million.
I didn't hear that. Davo, George Galloway talking about
it thinks of the funding the current war in Ukraine. And as that war continues, we have already seen that oil prices have been hitting record highs for 14 years in the last week. The French Prime Minister has decided that the way that France is going to tackle that and help people with the price of petrol is to give them a discount of 15 centimes per litre from next month. And one of the reasons why France wants to do this is because the anger over soaring fuel prices back in 2018 is what originally led to the Yellow Vest protests, and that's something that the government probably doesn't want to have a repeat of. However, this discount that's been offered has already been criticised by the mayors from rural associations.
The problem that there will be is that no one knows to date what the price of fuel will be on April the 1st. Because if the fuel is at €2.50 a litre or €2.60 a litre on April the 1st, we will still arrive at fuel at €2.35 a litre.
And it's not just the price of petrol at the pump. Also, there is concern how this could hit energy bills at home.
On YouTube yesterday,
for example, in Berlin, one energy supplier has had to warn its customers that its prices are going to go up by 26% from May the 1st. This is Gasak that supplies some 400,000 private homes in the city. So that is a pretty big deal.
I thought ISIS was dead.
We're seeing this kind
I thought
of
ISIS got
impact on
COVID.
other industries too. Some are deciding to
went
cut
on a rocket ship and get launched to the
amid
moon.
the soaring costs of energy. One company in the Czech Republic has been forced to suspend its production of a chemical that's used to extract precious metals from iron ore at its plant, and it says that's simply because it can't afford the cost, or it's not cost efficient anymore. We've also heard in Italy, one packaging group has suspended production at its paper mills, and here in France and also in neighbouring Spain, steelmakers have cut production, all citing the uneconomic and unviability of producing products with energy costs being so high.
Now, is the Iranian nuclear deal set to restart? Or is Washington instead trying to use Tehran to score points in the great global game? Going Underground delves deeper into that and more besides right ahead.
Oh, right, that's the half hour done. At least they had some staff on the day and they were doing some news instead of yesterday bull crap. Right. That was Reaper. Let's go for the BBC at the top of the hour. What's the Romulan?
In capital Kiev, one person is killed.
Some people have got the memo and some people haven't about what you call this city. Kiev, 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 Kiev. Back in the room. Peace, Romulan.
Russia strikes an apartment block in the Ukrainian capital Kiev. One person is killed. 3 people were taken to hospital and 9 others treated at the scene after the 9-story apartment building was hit, Ukrainian authorities say.
We hid inside the closet. We thought we were going to be captured, that the Russians were getting in through the door. But
right, good, I can pause this, man. Now, we witnessed this just on Russia Today. We're now witnessing it on the BBC, and both sides want you to believe that the fighters, the armed forces, deliberately are blowing up civilians. Right? It's not an accident. It's not them targeting heads of militia, armed forces, so on and so forth. When they're in their house, when they can get to them, you know. I mean, I would love a news organisation or somebody to come out and offer you a plausible explanation as to what's going on here, instead of just, oh, they're evil and they decided to just start killing pregnant women.
we were wrong.
Which we'll
we
get
got
to.
out from the apartment and saw that the staircase was not there anymore. Everything was on fire.
A pregnant woman wounded in the Russian bombing of a maternity.
Now, this is all the evidence that we've got. A woman with a big belly photographed somewhere, could be fucking anywhere. And do bear in mind that PR companies in the past have been employed to get little girls to cry in front of Congress about babies getting flung on cold floors and out of incubators to facilitate support for particular wars, that one being the Kuwaiti and Iraqi war. So, I'm not a heartless bastard. If I don't want any pregnant woman to... I don't want anybody to lose their life, full stop. I'm just sceptical whether this is a genuine pregnant woman or whether it's some fucking wag the dog bullshit to get your heart. Because whose heart can't break if they blindly suspend disbelief and just blindly believe that picture, and they don't run through their head the possibility that could be maybe a wee bit fabricated. We're told that that's a pregnant woman. Could be a woman with a fucking pill whopper, Duke, to be quite honest. I mean, hold on a sec, I'll ask Superman to use his X-ray eyes and see if she's really pregnant. Fucking hell.
Maternity hospital has died along with her baby, according to reports today. Russian and Ukrainian officials resumed talks to try to end the fighting after both sides said there was progress over the weekend. US officials say that Russia has asked China for military help. The Kremlin denies it, and Beijing describes it as disinformation.
Who said this? This is absolutely fucking groundbreaking. What the fuck? An unnamed official said this. China comes out and obviously goes, it's fake news, it's a load of shite, but yet the BBC still run with it and suppose it's true.
And here in the UK, families who want to put up Ukrainian refugees wait for the government website to go live.
How racist is this shit? All you need is a war in a country with people with white skin and blonde hair and blue eyes, and there's fucking the government setting up Tinder for fucking Ukrainian refugees. Good, fuck you, swipe right, swipe right, swipe right. Oh, I fucking like her. Swipe left, swipe left. George Galloway was wanting to take in the Russians that were kicked off of Strictly Come Dancing. But he said his wife wouldn't let him. I need to see pictures of these women. But if the women on that show are rating to go by, man, it must be really bad babalinkas.
The war in Ukraine is accelerating Europe's search for alternative energy supplies to Russian gas. William Hurt, the Oscar-winning actor whose roles range from 1980s dramas to Marvel films, has died, aged 71. And showing support for Ukraine as The Power of the Dog, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, won the top prize at last night's battle.
I hope you fucking get a psychopath and he fucking kills you in your sleep, you virtue signalling fucking cumber fuck. Fucking Cumberpatch, fucking dick. I'm not joking, man. What are these idiots all about? Fucking racist motherfuckers. Oh, your blonde hair, blue eyes, your white skin. Oh, I open up my house to you. Fucking hell. You got brown skin, you came in a dinghy. Fuck off, you stinky bastard.
And coming up on the BBC News Channel, an emotional return for Ukrainian international
Andrei
Yarmolenko, who scored in West Ham's victory.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Had all sorts of fucking bull crap with this shit the other day.
He'd been on compassionate leave since the Russian invasion.
Oh, wow. Swear to God, man, fucking... copyright strike shit with football, pain in the arse. Back in the room. Hello, Romulan, I come in peace.
Welcome to the BBC News at 1, live from Lviv in western Ukraine. Russia's bombardment of Ukrainian cities continues. At least one resident of a block of flats in the capital Kyiv was killed when the building was shelled this morning. Several others were wounded. Overnight, the president of Ukraine said it was inevitable that a Russian missile will strike a member state of the NATO security alliance.
Yes, baby! The guy says World War III is inevitable! I gotta love fucking dick piano playing fucking comedians come fucking President El Presidentes. Fucking moron. Now, what's happened, I don't know if you can see this, man. They are laying the ground for all sorts of fucking provocations. They're giving any arsehole in Ukraine that wants to bring the West on board to help them batter Russia 20 million options here. Chemical weapons. Fire a fucking... capture a Russian missile, or they've probably got Russian missiles, being that they're fucking half Russian Ukraine. Their pilots can fucking fly MiG planes, you know? Fire a Russian missile into Poland. Land anywhere. And we've had all our politicians out there line in the sand, line in the sand, line in the sand, line in the sand. But I can't remember. I remember Barack Obama going on about red line and stuff and then back down. And there's been all sorts of red lines. They said chemical weapons in Syria was red line. Chemical weapons get used in Syria. Who used them is up for debate. Who's going to use them this time is up for debate, but that doesn't matter. It's all about perception. It's about who is perceived to have used them. And them shutting down Putin's news organisation and stuff, they've done that for a reason, because their news organisations must have been having some traction. Or people were curious or sceptical enough about fucking news organisations that use fucking Romulan. They were sceptical enough to look at the other side, just hear what they are saying. Instead of listening to the people who are at war with them, listen to the opposite side and see their explanation for X, Y, and Z. And as I'm doing here, compare it to the other side's explanation for X, Y, or Z. I would argue the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle the majority of the time, but at least you're in a position to make more informed decision, and you're not being dictated to about what information you can and cannot fucking take into your head. Anyway, let's get back to the Romulan.
His words came after 35 people were killed in an attack on a large military base in Yarowiv, near the Polish border yesterday. This attack is the most westerly so far. In his nightly video address, Mr.
Davo, that's a good point, mate. The fact that she wasn't didn't have a jacket or a blanket or anything round her. The fact that she came out of a maternity ward, right? You would assume that she was in a fucking bed. And that bed would have had a blanket. Now, granted, they might have just wanted to get her out of Dodge and all that. I don't know whether that picture is genuine or not. But that is the thing. I don't know. What I do know is both sides are capable of constructing bullshit to play on your heartstrings. I know that from undisputed events from times gone by. The babies out of incubators onto the cold floor being a prime example. I would also point to the chemical weapons getting used inside Syria, where the West are now trying to bring that back up and say that, oh, it was Russia's playbook to use chemical weapons. Look, they were using it inside Syria. Well, there's a lot of people out there that would argue that it wasn't anything to do with Russia using chemical weapons inside Syria. I wasn't there. I wasn't snorting the shit. I don't know. What I do know is, again, both sides are capable of lying in times of war to manipulate public's perception to justify X, Y, or Z. They are things that remain true. Right, let's get back to the... somebody put a Ukrainian flag up in your street. Oh, but you can't blame the people. You can't even blame all the people that are now on Ukrainian Tinder, Ukrainian refugee Tinder. They're virtue signalling fucking idiots, but it's the world in which we stay. It's the world in which a lot of people, unthinking people, have been positioned in, and they feel they get something positive. They feel like they're, hey, you did a good deed for the day, you know? And it's by no accident. And you can't hold it against the individuals who are susceptible to that stuff, because the stuff is out there because it works on a lot of people.
Zelensky renewed calls for NATO to close the airspace over Ukraine. Diplomatic efforts to end the fighting are underway again, with a fourth round of talks. Mr. Zelensky said his delegation was trying to arrange direct talks between himself and Vladimir Putin, a meeting he said he was sure that people were waiting for. From Kiev, our correspondent James Waterhouse has this report.
Gary, see what you're saying there about the Russians being in a good position in the West or whatever, only forge a false flag and all that. Well, it just makes me want to comment on the mixed messages you're getting from the Western press. You know, on one hand, you'll hear Zelensky and other people standing up there and going, the Russians have stalled, it's not going according to plan, they've not achieved their objectives, they're doing really, really badly. Look, here's a Russian tank getting blown up. Well, here's 6 Russian tanks getting blown up in ambush. Oh, the Russians are really, really bad. They haven't got air dominance and stuff. And then on the other hand, 2 seconds later, you hear them going like, we need bombs, we need bullets. We don't need helmets, we need fucking ammunition, bombs, bullets, and while you're at it, give us a fucking Air Force. We need a fucking Air Force too. And some pilots would be good, because we can't fucking fly the planes that you can fucking give us. So let's do a swap, see, and Poland can end up with some nice, new, shiny American planes. Man, the mixed messages and bullshit you're hearing is unbelievable. Zelensky is using Ukraine Slavs as cannon fodder and human shields, yet he isn't even Slavic. Well, mate, have you seen that Twindler or something? Oh, what's that thing on Netflix about the guy Twindler? He's on Twitter and he swindles all these women, right? And you wonder, how can you bring yourself to do that? Well, it's maybe grown up with religion so much drummed into your fucking ass. You get that religious supremacy that a lot of religious folk have. You know, my God is the only fucking God bullshit. I mean, if you grow up fucking believing that stuff, us and them, and fucking good and bad, evil and good guy wank and stuff, you can treat human beings, fellow human beings, atrociously, man, and fucking still sleep at night. And if you can play the piano with your dick, kudos. The Tindler swindler, that's it, mate. Method in my madness. Aye, the Tindler swindler. I knew I had it in there somewhere. It's a cracking watch. I didn't know nothing about it. Turned it on, and it took for ages for me to realise it wasn't like a mockumentary. There was actually a woman that daft. But you can't hold it against them. They're just women. Human beings. Yeah, bastard, man. So anyway, let's get back to the BBC's version of events.
These days, air raid sirens form part
Oh no,
of
it's the Hypno Man!
Then, you're reminded why they're there. This 9-storey residential block was directly hit by a shell, killing at least one person.
We hid inside the closet. We thought we were going to be captured, that the Russians were getting in through the door, but we were wrong. We got out from the apartment and saw that the staircase was not there anymore. Everything was on fire.
It happened in the northwest of Kiev, where we're continuing to see the most intense fighting in the capital. That's not to mean the eastern flank of Kiev isn't avoiding shells either. This morning, an assessment of the damage.
It's like almost like the West are like pure upset at Russia like hitting parts of Ukraine. Like, oh my God, I thought we could tell you what parts of Ukraine to bomb. And it's funny, right? Hopefully they'll get to the part where they bombed near the Ukraine. I heard about it last night, and I wondered, man. I was like, what the fuck? What's the West getting their fucking knickers in the twist? Like, because Russia hitting this particular Ukrainian military facility, you know, there's nobody's arguing it was a Ukraine military facility. They got hot. What's the big hoo-ha? And then they're talking about, oh, it's near the Poland border, Right, okay, so it's still in Ukraine. Yeah, it's not in fucking Poland. And then they're all out like, one inch territory. So I expect a Russian missile or something to land somewhere inside fucking Ukraine. Inside Poland, to be quite honest. But rumour would have it. Hold on, I think I've even got it up here somewhere. Or I thought I did. Is it here? Alright, this is it here. Right, so this is the US makes NATO threat after Russian strikes. Base near Polish border, Washington has said the US led military alliance would respond even to accidental fire from Russia. You can go and read that on your own time, but the wee interesting part here Kiev said that 35 were killed and 130 injured in the account, while Russian military claimed that up to 180 foreign fighters were killed in a strike carried out by high-precision weapons. Kiev rejected that claim. Now, if I was in charge of the Russian military and I had intelligence of where the foreign legion were going to be, of course, man, that would be not like for morale, for propaganda, for all forms of reasons. You would fucking want to blow that shit to fuck. And if you're, well, we're now in the beautiful position of the wonderful age of the internet. We can just go and listen. Don't fall asleep with Hypno Guy though. Try and stay awake.
A day of much heavier artillery fire, and we've seen a number of.
This guy looks like he's got a flat jacket under his flat jacket. Or is he just fat?
Ground-to-air missiles launch into the sky. But even when these air defence systems work, they don't remove the danger. Debris fell from the sky here from an
Nah, man. Putin couldn't sabotage the iron brew factory. We're self-sufficient in iron brew. See, we dig all the iron brew ginger core out the ground. We train haggises to do the mining for us nowadays. Don't tell anybody though, because it's, some people say it's slavery.
Intercepted missile, say authorities, killing a person. This war is expanding within Ukraine, and it's now reaching the doorstep of the European Union and NATO. This missile strike on a military base in Yavoriv, which killed 35 people, was 15 miles from the Polish border. It's why President Zelensky is repeating his calls for the West to help police a no-fly zone in his country.
And now, I repeat again, if you do not close our sky, it's only a...
Oh man, do you know what would be beautiful? To download, I don't know man, maybe I might even do it myself. Get one of his speeches like that, with his military fatigues on, and then play the audio of him playing the piano with his dick. So it looks like he's playing the piano with his dick underneath the table.
Matter of time before Russian missiles fall on your territory, NATO territory, on the homes of citizens of NATO countries.
The fighting isn't letting up at all. This is Mariupol. It's been surrounded by Russian forces for 12 days. 12 days of being shelled. 12 days of little water, food or medicine for more than 400.
Fuck's sake, is this a poem this guy, Hypno Man's putting me to sleep with?
1,000 people. At least 2,000 are known to have died. This woman was rescued after a hospital was shelled last.
Right, in the day and the age of fucking mobile phones, all we've got to do is proof is people, talking heads on Western media telling you she's now dead and her baby's dead, and one fucking picture. And this one picture has now got all the talking heads and all the breakfast shows go, oh, did you see? And they keep repeating this fucking maternity hospital fucking thing. Go and listen to the other side. There's minutes, 3 days beforehand, minutes that were took in a meeting in the United Nations, and Russia was telling United Nations that this building was took over by militants. Russia aren't denying bombing it. What they're saying is it was getting used by the fucking Nationalist Brigade or some shite. Oh, anyway.
Last week, today we learnt she and her unborn baby later died.
Today we learned. We went in fucking school? Did you go to school this morning, Hypno Man? Where the fuck did you learn this? Were you down in the fucking hospital? Where the fuck? Where did you get confirmation of her death? We were just meant to blindly believe you. They need you to just blindly believe you.
Not one attempt at a temporary ceasefire has succeeded here. Moscow's continually been accused of shelling agreed routes for people to escape and supply.
Moscow has continuously been accused. Right? Not one shred of evidence, not even like fucking video footage made up or otherwise.
To get in, there'll be another go today. Peace talks continue today too, and there are more positive sounds, with Ukraine claiming Russia has stopped using ultimatums.
Negotiations with the Russian delegation, round 4, will begin in just a few minutes. Our positions remain unchanged: peace, immediate ceasefire, withdrawal of all Russian troops, and only after that can we talk about neighbourly relations.
It doesn't mean expectations will suddenly rise. 19 days of a brutal war doesn't do wonders for optimism. James Waterhouse, BBC News in Kiev.
Kiev!
We can talk now to our chief international
Peace,
correspondent,
Romulan.
Lise Doucet, who's in Kiev.
Well, bag-faced lady.
Is there a sense that the assault is now closing in on the capital?
Answers on a postcard if you can figure out what accent this strange woman has got.
19-day invasion where we didn't wake up, or we weren't woken up by the sound of an air raid siren. But yet this bright winter's day has turned into one of the noisiest mornings since the invasion began. We've just heard a minute ago the rumble
so did you not get your beauty
explosions
sleep
in the
in?
distance. And all
Poor
morning there's
you.
been the sound of surface-to-air missiles being fired.
It's
by
the sound of the
Ukraine.
underground. The wheels
Russian
on the bus
artillery.
go around
They're
and
louder,
around.
They seem to be coming closer, and as we've been reporting, it's mainly on the northwest and the northeastern approaches to the city where we hear these increasingly louder explosions and fierce fighting in towns and the suburbs, what used to be charming suburbs of this capital, and now they've been laid to waste. And with every day we see more and more of the fortifications in this city. Fighting back against the Russians isn't just a question of military might. We visited some of the what are being called humanitarian hubs in this city yesterday, where the city council is now stockpiling food because the people of this city have seen with frightening clarity the kind of sieges and shelling that are now being inflicted on other cities, and many believe that it's just a matter of time before it comes to Kyiv.
Kyiv.
Lise, as always, thank you. Lise Doucet there reporting from Kyiv. Well, until this weekend, most of Russia's attacks had been targeted on the south and the east of the country. But yesterday's strike just miles from the Polish border suggested a change in strategy. Our defence correspondent Jonathan Beale has this analysis of the Russian advance.
Oh, Russia are bombing places that we didn't allow them to bomb.
It's day 19 of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and
it's day 19 of the Russia's again. RT are reporting that the Russian military are saying that there was foreign fighters in the base. The base was International Centre for Peacekeeping and Security. How Orwellian is that? I.e. they were training people how to fucking murder and suppress populace. The populi. What did I want to try and look at? Oh, I've already got it up. So, I have no idea who this outfit is. The only thing I do know is they come straight out of Compton. No, I mean Netherlands. And it's the NL Times. I don't know what kind of outfit it is or isn't. But this is reporting that some of the foreign legion, the foreign people that may have been killed in the strike next to the Polish border, may have been Dutch. My God, neck is fucking agony. An unknown number of Dutch citizens were injured on Sunday after Russian forces attacked a military base in Yavorovivi. Vodka! About 30 missiles were fired at a training camp outside Lviv, killing at least 35 people and injuring many others. The BBC reported, based on statements from the local governor, the camp is less than 25 kilometres from the border with Poland. It just shows you a picture, I do believe. It's in some foreign muck language. It just shows you pictures. back and alive. Ukrainian dude. Oh, as the virtue signalling. Quick, change your icons, everybody. That'll stop the war. Oh god, there's a guy out there coordinating the Dutch Foreign Legion. Cool. So you got the details on your screen. Is this the video footage of the attack of this place? That's a thunderstorm. What are you talking about? I mean, you've not seen for it'll be just flashes, and you've got all the details on your screen if you want to go and check it out. Now let's hear what the BBC say. Now sometimes it's what they don't say, you know, like, or what they like.
There are still signs of limited advances over the past 36 hours. Russian forces have been trying to tighten their stranglehold on key cities. They've been continuing their bombardment of Kharkiv in the northeast and Mariupol further south. The UK's Ministry of Defence also says Russian naval forces in the Black Sea have now established a blockade to cut Ukraine off from maritime trade. But the most significant development over the past 24 hours has been Russia stepping up its attacks on western Ukraine.
Because they're not allowed to bomb western Ukraine.
Including long-range strikes on a military base just 12 miles from the Polish border. These were the scenes after the strikes on Yavoriv, a military base which had been used by NATO to train Ukrainian forces before the invasion. Russia has said it will target the supply lines of weapons from Western nations coming across this border. One Ukrainian MP says it's an escalation that should worry NATO members.
The fact that this attack happened so close to the Polish border should be setting off alarm bells and red flags for all of the NATO member states.
Why? I don't get this. Where's the idea that because Russia hot a part of Ukraine, you know, it's attacking Ukraine. It's no secret that Ukraine has a border with fucking Poland. Russia isn't attacking fucking Poland. What are these fucking talking head idiots fucking gibbering on about?
NATO cannot stand aside from this war, and that war is going to hit NATO one of these days very hard.
Taking the capital, Kyiv, remains a main objective for Russian forces. But again, they're making limited progress in the face of Ukrainian resistance. Russian forces have been reorganizing and regrouping outside the city, but there's also evidence that they may need reinforcements too. There are reports that Russia's looking to bring in troops from other parts of the country and even foreign fighters from Syria and Libya. US officials have also warned that Russia's asked China for military assistance, though Beijing has called that fake news. But it's clear that the early stages of this invasion has not gone according to plan for Russia, and they're looking at ways of gaining the upper hand, which could widen the conflict and impact nations beyond Ukraine's border.
Peace, Romulan.
Beale reporting there. Well, as he was saying, several unnamed US officials have told multiple news outlets that since invading Ukraine, Russia has asked China for military equipment and aid. The Chinese embassy in the US said it wasn't aware of any such request. Well, in a moment, we can speak to our correspondent Jenny Hill, who's in Moscow for us, and our China correspondent Stephen McDonald.
Now, I can't remember who it is, but some people have left a few comments saying that, like I might have done myself back in the day, it just doesn't entertain me anymore, but they've been watching the cameras, you know, the war cams, and they've not seen anything, and the news is saying that there's attacks going on here, there and everywhere, and there's nothing on the war cams. Oh, here's this grumpy Australian guy
who's in Beijing. But first to Barbara Pletasher, who's in Washington for us. And Barbara, what's being said in the US about this?
Well, Rita, as you said, what we have are newspaper reports quoting unidentified officials saying that Russia has asked China for assistance, including military equipment. They're also saying that Russia is running low on certain weapons, although they don't say which weapons and they don't say what Russia has requested from Beijing.
Davo, I don't know if you've seen the thumbnail that I used where there was a guy in Irish fatigues. So that's the Independente. Third independent, you know? Independent. So it is. Don't you know? Don't you know it's independent? Don't you know? So it is. I'm proud as an Irishman here, and I hope more will come. Meet the dub on his way to Kiev to fight Putin's army. Top of the morning to you. I'm just going to go and fight a little bit of Putin in the morning. So he's a bad man, so he is. And I'm going to go and fight him. So I'm gonna go and fight him. Listen, I'm gonna go and fight him right now. So anybody want to come and join me at the end of my rainbow? Shit, I'm going into all sorts of accents. I love it, man. When I take the piss out the Irish, some of the dates leave comments like, "You don't like that?" Was predominantly itchy Richie Allen. When I'm taking the piss out of him, people like, "You don't like the Irish, man? You don't like the Irish?" Fucking love the Irish, man. And like, you can tell this is coming from fucking idiots' feet. There's certainly no Irish folk. Because the fucking Irish folk can take a good poke with a fucking stick like the rest of us. You know what I mean? They understand it's a fucking poke with a stick. Taking the piss out of fucking stereotypes, man. It's the way to go. It's funny as fuck. Top of the morning to you. Anyway, so the Irish are over there. So the leprechauns are over there, man. So they'll expect some rainbows and pots of gold to be flying. Top of the morning to you. Oh, here's Usher.
Exactly. There are reports that the White House is concerned that Beijing might undermine Western support for Ukraine's defense, but the White House hasn't publicly commented on these reports. What we have been hearing from the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, is about economic sanctions and warnings to China not to bail Russia out when it comes to trying to circumvent those sanctions. He has said that there will be consequences if Beijing throws a lifeline to Russia from an economic point of view. And he has been meeting his Chinese counterpart in Rome today and has been conveying that message, among others. The Americans are also accusing the Chinese of spreading Russian disinformation that the U.S. believes could be a pretext to a chemical or biological attack. Analysts here have said if China would indeed send material support to Russia, that...
Now, the way the press frame you killing motherfuckers, it depends. The small print on your weapons, made in.
behavior, but they didn't know what those would be. But they also thought that the Chinese leadership was unsettled by what was happening in Ukraine, and also watching closely the alliance between the US and Europe, because European relations are very important to Beijing.
The IRA fighting for Ukraine. Woohoo!
Let's go now to Stephen McDonnell in Beijing. And Stephen, how has
Steve
China
McDonnell
responded to these claims?
He's in Coronation Street.
Well, asked about this.
I just knew he was a grumpy Australian bastard. You know, he's a grumpy Australian bastard. Dirty Tina Turd. Need to get the Irish out of me. I need to go shrimp on the barbie. One on shrimp on the barbie.
Beijing for military assistance in the Ukraine war. The foreign minister.
Alright, Alan, my man, how you doing, buddy?
Fake news. Now, we asked him for clarity several times. Does that mean
exactly, Alex? Where your bombs are made? Whether they fire out rainbows and feather dusters and shit, or whether they actually kill people. Because Russia, I don't know if you've heard, Russia, they're using shit that kills people. stuff that goes boom! Their bombs go, it blows shit up, people die. It's amazing. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know why they aren't using Western made love bombs and bullets to just come out and tickle you in the arsehole and tell you to move on. Please move on. That's what the Western love bombs and bullets do.
Has to account for its biological weapons in Ukraine. And the Foreign Ministry spokesman again said today that these documents on the US Embassy website in Ukraine have been hastily removed, which relate to this biosafety program that the US has there.
Right, hold on a second. So the BBC, because see when I seen those documents, right, first thing that came to my head is like, that's easy to knock up, man. You get like a wee fucking, a wee forger called Sergey. For some, I don't know why I would call him Sergey. Victor, Vlad, Sergey Vlad Smirnov. Right, let's call him that. And you would get one of them wee fucking forgers and they would go boop, 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 knock that up. By all accounts, these documents seem to have been digitally traced back to the embassy in Ukraine right enough. Interesting, it's coming from the BBC.
With Ukrainian officials. Well, I checked today, the documents all seem to be there, so we put it to the Foreign Ministry spokesman that they're all there, and maybe this is just a bit of smear on Russia's part to say that such documents had been removed, and he just sort of shrugged his shoulders and said he'd had different news. I mean, on the one hand, China is trying to say that it's a kind of impartial actor when it comes to the Ukraine war. On the other, it's trying to use this invasion at every turn to attack the US. And if that means spreading these propaganda lines from the Kremlin, whether they're confirmed or not, well, it seems that Beijing officials...
You want me to Google Bono, Putin, Geldof and Tony Blair for a photo of the Liberal Democrats trying to buy Putin over? Well, I do like to phone Putin. No, Bono. Boop, 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 boop. Hello, Bono. And Q Bono. Ta-da! Anyway, Q Bono. Just ask yourself, what would Bono do? What would Bono do? Anyway, let's get back to the Australian guy with no neck.
Officials are prepared to do that.
Mate, I'll sell you a neck.
Stephen, thank you. Let's talk now to Jenny Hill, who's in Moscow. And Jenny, what's the Kremlin saying?
Well, Vladimir Putin's spokesman has denied it. He said, we haven't asked for military assistance from China, and dismissed the reports as having been simply published in Western papers. They didn't come from Washington, he said. He went on to say that Russia is effectively capable of fulfilling what it calls its operation in Ukraine on time. And that was interesting because he was pressed on this, and he said there is no timetable. This is significant because, as you know, Vladimir Putin has framed his operation in Ukraine as being about defending the interests of Russian-speaking populations in eastern Ukraine against the aggression of Kyiv. But he's also telling Russians they need protecting from Ukraine, which is, by turn, trying to get hold of nuclear weapons or trying to develop those biological weapons. And so he needs to tell Russian people that this operation isn't going to last forever. Russian servicemen are dying, and their families are beginning to be notified of that. And that's, I think, why we're hearing such positivity around these so-called peace talks of late from the Kremlin, hearing that the two sides' positions are coming closer together. I think it's really important to question that, because in addition to Vladimir Putin needing to look as though he's serious about those negotiations, it's worth noting that the tone from Moscow remains belligerent towards Ukraine in the West. It continues to demand what Ukraine doesn't want to give, i.e. chunks of territory, and we can be sure that
Alex, the reason we didn't call the Iraq war the Iraqi operation is because, and no offence to Americans, but Americans are so stupid they would have thought it was a board game to do with removing metal bones for a wee guy whose nose lights up. Boom, 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 psh. Nah, I'm sure Americans would have thought it would, they wouldn't have confused Iraqi operation with the board game operation. Pretty sure they wouldn't have. Well, some of them wouldn't have.
But if those negotiations go nowhere, the Kremlin will blame Ukraine.
I've pumped a Jenny Hill before.
Jenny, many thanks. Jenny Hill reporting from Moscow. Well, around 2,500 Ukrainians are currently stuck in the Turkish province of Antalya, consular officials have told the BBC. Routes home from the tourist destination were shut off after the invasion began. Those now facing an uncertain future include the Olympic medal-winning national canoe team, as well as players from a number of top league football clubs. President Erdogan has not signed Turkey up to many of the West's sanctions against Moscow, and Antalya still allows Russian tourists. This report is by our correspondent.
Oh my god! My fucking... Oh, hold on, we need to start thinking about bombing Ankara. They're allowing Russian tourists! Ah! Are you trying to tell me if we stopped Russian tourists coming into the UK and shit? Is that happened and I've just no heard about it? Oh my lord, is that? Oh god, I don't even fucking this is such a fucking do you know what it is? It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And do you know what's entertaining me? The groundwork is getting laid for people in the future to be able to just take people's shit. No judge, no jury, just a fucking good guy. Wank! Quick, take his shit! He's pals with somebody we don't like! Right, let's see what's happening in Ankara. I think we need to bomb them because they're allowing Russian tourists in. Fuck's sake, man, I thought Putin was bad! I thought Putin was bad bombing fucking pregnant women. And then I'd only find out that Turkey's allowing Russian tourists in. Where will the barbarity end?
Feels a world away from war on the tranquil waters of southern Turkey. But life will never be the same for them again. This is Ukraine's national canoe team, now stuck here. Ivana.
Oh my god, they are scraping the barrel for fucking human interest stories, ain't they, man, to get the Ukrainian fucking canoe team. Oh my god, they're so bad, they're stuck on a lake.
Left a life she now longs for. Then the tanks rolled in.
I'm 18, and when my friends from Ukraine write me, I love you, thank you for all the time we spent together, it's really scary. The situation can happen to anybody.
Their coach Igor used to win Olympic medals
Igor!
with the Soviets.
Oh man, that's a fucking Russian name I forgot to use.
No future now.
I don't know.
I'm always disappointed when Igor doesn't have a hunchback for some reason, man. See, when I think of an Igor, I go up here drooling. Yes, master.
I don't know when we'll go back to Ukraine, he tells me. We want the war to end. Some feel like warriors on water.
We will win titles for our independent Ukraine in the water. And we will win.
I'm going to canoe my way to Ukrainian freedom. Putin will not know what's happening when I'm canoeing myself down the river. Destroying Putin one stroke at a time in my canoe. Look, I'm a warrior on the water. Oh my god, man. I hope that's mistranslation or just fucking bullshit made up.
Over those Russians, the invaders.
The invaders, the bad Russians.
Was a tourist trap for Ukrainians. But now 2,500 have no way home.
God, man.
Alexander brought his family on holiday from Kyiv a month ago.
Kyiv!
Now they're running out of cash, but hoarding memories.
It's our cat.
President Putin claims his war is to save Ukraine's ethnic Russians, people just like Tetiana.
To realize that Russians invaded Ukraine, it was unreal.
I think at this point, somehow, some way, indirectly, we're all opposing Ukraine, and I think somehow, some way, we're all maybe like possibly like under threat of sanctions. I mean, like if they can what they're doing to Abramovich is fucked up, man. Because of this guy. Now let's look at what they're using to browbeat him and sway opinion, sway public opinion about him. Right? He's pals with Putin. He bought, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, when everything, all the state assets were getting sold into private hands, he had the audacity to buy something off of Putin and then turn it fucking profitable, the cheeky bastard. Then he made money off those profits, funnily enough. Don't know how he done that. Because usually when you make fucking profit, you're meant to just, I don't know, throw it down the wishing well or something. I don't know, or like give it to the British government. That's his crimes. He's lost a football club. Chelsea Football Club, because of the sanctions, are now talking about maybe not being able to see it to the end of the season. Peter Cech is out there talking about maybe having to hire a van and take their fucking Chelsea players over to wherever it is their next, it's over in that foreign muckland of the European Union somewhere. Fucking crazy, man. Absolutely crazy. Anyway, let's get back to this sexy looking beast.
My childhood remained there.
We are being
My
memed.
sister is there. She's under bombing now in the basement.
And millions of Russians flock to this resort each year too. Natasha's Visa card.
Aye, true enough, mate. Kuznetsov and Mikhailichenko. I think both of them were from the Ukraine at the time, which was Russia and shit. They were good players, man.
Won't work. Her flights home to Russia cancelled twice.
Her name is Mia.
So how do you feel about, you know, the Russia that she's going to grow up into now, the world she's going to grow up in?
Oh, it's scared me.
I just want my daughter to be free, she says.
Free,
Others here
what
won't
interview is
speak
that, Cheech?
openly. We met 3 different Russians who have fled for good since the war began.
They're worried about their future, but they're also nervous about talking about it in front of our cameras.
Aye, mate, so this is what's happening to your TV license money. They're paying a cameraman to film the fucking cameraman.
And that's when you really feel the full weight of the fear that people have over criticising this war.
There's national pride now, even in the playground. A refuge from war, but a life.
I'll keep an eye out for it, Cheech. I must have missed that today.
John Bateman, BBC News, Antalya.
More than
Peace,
2.5 million people have fled the fighting in Ukraine to neighbouring countries since the war began. Many of those have headed to Poland. More than 1.8 million people have arrived in the country so far, with thousands more arriving overnight. Well, we can speak now to our correspondent Mark Lowen, who's in Przemysl in Poland for us now. And Mark, Poland has
Give her
been
a
very
break. She's
welcoming.
Romulan English,
Can
isn't
it
her
go
first
on
language.
absorbing these numbers?
Well, Rita, the strains are beginning to show, and meanwhile the arrivals keep coming. We were last here at Przemysl train station close to the border more than 2 weeks ago, and yet there are pretty much the same numbers as there were back then. The new arrivals come by train from Ukraine. They're given food and supplies here. There's a basic medical check as well, and then they're put on buses largely to go out to other parts of Poland. Now, to give you a sense of the scale, last year Poland was the 101st biggest host of refugees in the world. Now it is the 4th biggest host of refugees. And the fear here is that if the fighting intensifies in western Ukraine and there are further missile strikes like the one that happened yesterday on that base close to the Polish border, that could lead to a second wave of refugees coming across the border. Now, on the whole, Rita, Poles have thrown open their hearts and their homes to the Ukrainian refugees. But in the small border towns, like one we visited over the weekend, they are feeling increasingly overwhelmed. The officials there telling me that they fear that soon some of the refugees might have to sleep on the streets because they are lacking space in the shelters and in the homes. The mayor said to me that they were hoping for significant support from the Polish government and from the European Union, but he said, we feel alone.
I'm not alone, I'm not alone.
Well, I'll be back later in the programme, but for now, I'll hand you back to the studio in London.
Bye, Romulan.
Thank you very much, Rita.
Peace,
Here
Romulan.
in the UK, from today, if you want to open up your home to Ukrainian refugees, you can register your interest in the government's Homes for Ukraine scheme. This afternoon, the government will update MPs in Parliament about how it will work. Our political correspondent, Jonathan Blake, has more.
Hello, welcome. Let me show you around my home.
Opening their home to help. Christopher Marks and his partner Tracy are ready to offer room in their house in Bridlington in Yorkshire as part of the new scheme to house those fleeing the fighting in Ukraine.
Man, what are these fucking idiots? Yeah, come on in, you fucking stranger from a foreign land. Yes, here, have fucking some vodka. Have anybody ever seen an East European full of fucking vodka? They're fucking nuts, man. These people are going to come over and fucking cause rammies. Not all of them. Some of them.
I was homeless a long time ago. I've worked my way back into what we would call the system. Yeah, I have my own home. I'm very lucky. Yeah, I would like to make it possible for somebody else to be comfortable and safe. That's the main thing. They need to feel safe.
Since the Russian invasion,
So do you in your own
2.5
home.
million people have left Ukraine in search of safety. 4,000 visas have now been approved for those with family in the UK, but facing calls to go.
Alex, do you know what I'm shocked about? The lack of self-awareness of all these people, man. Like, see, like, I'll use an example of talk radio, right? That's predominantly, that's right-wingish talking heads. I know they'll deny it and just say, we're just independent and tell the truth. But if you go and listen to them, man, you can see their editorial stance. And they're the first ones to be up there like, hey, brown people and fucking boats, we need to do what we're fucking do in Australia, man. Send them to fucking a wee island offshore, fucking, and put them into internment camps. We need to get prison ships, we should keep them in prison ships, and their economic migrants are just coming. These exact same motherfuckers are now up there going, oh, the poor fucking Ukrainians, we need to open our doors. The vast majority of them are anyway. None of them are going like that. Fuck us, man. Let's sort our own fucking, our country's falling to the shitter. Fucking cunts can't afford to fucking heat their houses. Never mind heat up fucking beans. I have cold beans are the fucking is the new black. Dressing gowns, slippers, and cold beans is the new black. I heard in the UK. Where the way things are fucking going. Anyway, I digress.
Further, ministers say an unlimited number could come under the.
Cheats Russians there were Vikings, mate. See if you go and look at a map. Hold on, I'll show you, man. I love looking at maps. Any excuse. I'll show you something else interesting as well. If I can find it. But like, I don't know if you know about the Vikings and how they did like take over and shit. Like their ships, the technology, the technical advance their ships had, as they performed equally as well in deep water as shallow water. Whereas other people's ships were one or the other, you know, you like, so if you were crossing a large sea, you wouldn't be able to then go up the up the rivers, whereas the Viking boats were able to do that because they didn't have big pointy bits in the bottom. Big hulls. Something along those lines. Don't take my word for it, but it's something along those lines. And if you come here and look at Scandinavia and where modern Ruska is in St. Petersburg and Moscow, which is the kind of birthplace of Ruska, here's the wee sort of a I don't even know what this sea's called. The Baltic Sea. There you go. And what you'll find is, I don't know exactly where they are, but this should be self-evident, is there's lots of rivers, surprisingly, that the Vikings went up when they were out conquering, looking for treasure. There's one there that they would have went down, came inland, and their ships would have been able to come all the way up here. That's how they had a stronghold in Govan back in the day. And that's why William the Conqueror, or William the Bastard, whatever you want to call him, although he was a Norman, he was a Viking Norman. He was a Viking that went down and conquered and pillaged the bits of France and was given land. Anyway, that's enough of that pish. Look, there's a big Illuminati pyramid at the tip of Russia's parliament. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, no.
The new scheme.
I think it is very valuable, actually, for a Ukrainian refugee arriving in the UK to have a British host that can help them in so many ways, not least with integrating into British life, especially after they've come from somewhere that is in such a traumatic state.
Under the scheme, Ukrainians will be able to stay in the UK for at least 3 years. Hosts will receive £350 a month as a thank you payment, and councils will get £10,500 worth of funding per refugee housed in their area. But there's concern about the
East Europeans aren't European. They're a completely different people from Western Europe. So I trust them as much as I trust gypsies. There are a lot of East European heritage. Well, if you trace the genealogy way back, at some point, all the white cunts came from the Ukraine area, the Caucasus. And I do believe that's why when you're talking to when police are describing suspects, they say Caucasian, because Caucasians, white, come from the Caucasus or southern Russia kind of thing, Georgia and all that area. Anyway, let's listen to the BBC.
Level of support. I'm full of admiration of all those Londoners and those across the country who have offered to provide a room in their home for those fleeing Ukraine. They will need support, not just financially, but the wraparound support required. And that's why we're asking the government not simply to speed up a really complex and cumbersome and clunky.
Cheech, I'm no expert, man, but I'm pretty sure some of the best whiskies are aged in, is it brandy casks? But you're right, whiskey starts out clear.
Visa process, but also to provide the tangible assistance we will need.
Charities will play a crucial part in the process, matching offers of accommodation with those who want to come.
We're going to help connect people with people in Ukraine that need to come here. There's been such an incredible outpouring of generosity from our nation, and here's a really practical way that people can help, because without a sponsor, people can't come from Ukraine to the UK.
You're going to find some other buildings as well.
Protesters at a property in London believed to be owned by a Russian oligarch, sanctioned for links to Vladimir Putin. Ministers have considered seizing
We links to Vladimir Putin sanctioned? Like, I'm no fan of fucking Russia any more than I am any other country in the world, but the fact that they're going around and just stealing people's shit, I've got nothing I've got nothing for them to penalise me for, but I'm not in a position to lose anything. Not a house, not this, not that, no nothing. Oh, and what was I going to say, Alex? Stay tuned for tomorrow night, mate. I've got a wee clip of Tommy Robinson. I can't remember what he's talking about. Basically, he talks hunters a shit. Doing this, man. Doing this. Won't win away. I'm doing this. Donate. Buy this. T-shirts. I'll need to dig out my thumbnail of Tommy Robinson standing next to Del Boy and all that, saying buy my T-shirts. From back in the day, man. I'll need to dig that out, because he's heavy on the fucking scrounge, man. For obvious reasons, the guy's in a financial fucking hole. He's bankrupt and all that. Because of his independent journalism! Anyway, sorry.
like this to house refugees, but legally it's far easier said than done. Amid criticism from all sides of the government's response, many are eagerly awaiting details of exactly how the new scheme will work. Jonathan Blake, BBC News, Westminster.
21 Ukrainian children have arrived in England to undergo life-saving cancer treatment on the NHS. Our health correspondent Sophie Hutchinson is here. Tell us about the children.
Well, this was an emergency evacuation of some of the sickest children in Ukraine following a plea for help from the Ukrainian government. These 21 children all have cancer and they cannot survive without specialist treatment.
I can't listen to this woman. She looks top heavy. I think if she stood up, she would go, oh, because her glasses are. I genuinely think they look like, do you know those big comedy specs you get? And she woke up and put on the comedy specs for her fancy dress box. Didn't he put on her real glasses?
They were met yesterday at the Ukrainian-Polish border by NHS staff. One team was from University Hospital Southampton and specialises in the transportation of critically ill children. The other team was from Birmingham Children's Hospital and they were cancer specialists. It was an extremely challenging situation.
Oh, aye, man. You just need to go and look at Great Britain News for 5 minutes to figure out what Tommy Robinson's thinking. Same hymn page and pretty much everything, including that Neil Hamilton's upstanding gentleman and should be in politics.
The teams had no information about the condition of the children before they actually met them. The staff had promised themselves that no child would be turned away because they were too sick, so they had to be able to provide critical care treatment for 21 children on board an aeroplane. In the event, some of the children needed that critical care, others needed chemotherapy.
I mean, she just needs a fake cash and a plastic cash and
many
nose.
Many were very fearful at first, but on landing in the UK, there was great applause from
I know,
families,
Rebel, mate.
and
They
some
are
of the
funny,
children
man.
were
They
high-fiving
genuinely
the
look
NHS
like
staff.
fucking comedy
by
glasses.
The end of today, those
I want to
children
see her
could
stand
each
up.
be in their destination hospitals being treated by the NHS.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Thank you. The financial impact of the war in Ukraine is already being felt, as you know, with higher petrol prices and warnings of further rises in energy bills to come. With the UK phasing out imports of Russian gas and oil, including a ban.
Do you know what I've watched this morning on the BBC's? They were talking about this, the cost of living crisis, and they were talking about flour. So they were in a flour mill I was floating about, so I was kind of half more listening than watching. But they were in a flour mill making pizza flour or whatever. And then they're like, people don't need to worry. The UK is self-sufficient, so you don't need to worry. It's just that we're in a global market, so the prices go up globally. Our prices go up too. I don't know. I'm beginning to think some sort of a commie bastard somewhere is pulling strings, because this shit's making me want to nationalise fucking everything. Fucking, there's just the fucking pigs at the trough making money off of fucking bread, water. Prisoners get that shit for free. It's
on
true.
Russian oil by the end of the year. Our science editor, Rebecca Morell, has been looking at how reliant European nations are on Russia for energy and where we might find alternatives.
Rebel,
Gas is one of Russia's
there was a point when I was looking at our glasses closely because I thought they were just fashion. I didn't think there was lenses in them, but the clock there was lenses in them actually.
We can actually use this as a huge wake-up call, which we desperately need, and say, right, this is the moment to break our addiction to fossil fuels altogether, to move to renewables, to invest into renewables much more, and that cuts our dependency of oil and gas from Russia.
Russia is
our dependency? Where the fuck's your accent, fae hen, man? You sounded half leprechaun, half American. Are you a UK citizen, or are you just talking about heal the world? A global citizen?
the largest gas exporter in the world. So where is Russia's gas going? Right now, the EU gets 40% of its gas from Russia. But some countries are more dependent, like Finland, which imports nearly all of its gas. For Germany, it's about half. For the UK, it's less than 5%. But our gas prices are directly affected by changes in the global markets.
So the exact of the rule. You just stole my line, but my line was about flour. Now they're using the same line about for. Yes, we've got all our own shit, but you're still going to get screwed, motherfuckers.
Alternatives to Russia's gas. Love it. One option is to get gas from elsewhere. Instead of piping it, it comes
flour prices go up automatically because it's self-raising flour. I like it, Davo, that's good, mate.
Liquefied natural gas, or LNG.
The one thing we should not allow to drive our energy policy is the assumption that the world is short of gas.
Well, T2 dab, I don't know. I'm a bit stupid, so I'll just call you T or T2. Makes you sound like a Terminator. That's pretty cool. Shit, what was I going to say? Oh, T2 prices going up because the money is devaluing. Well, they're going to have to turn on the printing machines again when all these fucking Ukrainian refugees come over. What is it, $3.50 a month for taking one in? That's not even going to pay to fucking heat their room one night. And the council is getting 10 grand a month for every Ukrainian they take in. Well, Rebel, I don't know if it's designed, mate, but certainly the companies that are selling us this shit they're not going to protest too much. Because the price that, if you notice, right, the prices that are racking up are on all the commodities there's basically a monopoly on, if that makes sense. Not so much a monopoly in the sense that, like, there's no competition. Flour is flour is flour is flour. I know we can get different grades of flour and all that, but you get where I'm coming from. Oil is oil is oil is oil. It's traded in those. It's commodities, tradable commodities. So you've got no choice to take it or leave it. You have to take it from somewhere. So every cunt's like that here, we can just rattle the prices right up here. Bring back communism.
LNG is a key part of that.
Nationalise everything.
But it will take a bit of an investment cycle to get us from here to there, and that's why we've got this bumpy short-term period.
And coal could make a comeback. Countries like Poland have plenty of it, but it's a short-term fix. The longer-term plan is to move away from fossil fuels, and that means ramping up wind and solar energy. Germany, for example, was planning to get all of its energy from renewables by 2040. Now that target's been brought forward to 2035. There's also a big push for green hydrogen, which could act as a replacement for gas. But the technology's not there yet, and it's expensive. There are also changes we could make to our homes, like better insulation and the mass rollout of heat pumps.
Another measure that probably the European citizen will need to very thoroughly think about is reducing their own consumption by turning down the thermostats in winter by a couple of degrees.
So what does it mean for climate change targets? UN scientists recently warned that
I'm going to find out what companies are building these heat pump fucking things, whatever the fuck they are, and why the hell a heat pump is going to save the world. I do not know. I don't. I've not had it explained to me yet. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy stocks and shares in a fucking heat pump company. Because I got a sneaky suspicion they're going to get a lot of business. And then I'm going to find a heat pump company. I'm going to see who's got pals in the government. And whoever's most closely tied to a lord or a lady or an MP, going to invest in that company.
there's only a brief window to avoid the worst impacts of global warming. So now we may see more short-term use of fossil fuels, which will increase our emissions. But could a sprint for renewables counteract this and actually take us closer to net zero?
I think it might be a bit of a battle in a way between the green and the sort of alternative fossil fuel sources. But I do have a feeling that this will actually accelerate the sort of zero carbon energy transition, because the solutions offered by that make sense. The technologies are available and they're also inexpensive.
It's not just gas that's a problem, there's oil too. Russia exports about half of the oil it produces to Europe. The UK has said it will phase out Russian imports by the end of...
See you saying that, Cheech, about the crater in Turkmenistan, however you pronounce it. I know over in Iceland with all their geysers and all that, I mean, I don't know, as she says, I don't know if the technology's there yet, but they've got enough natural thermal power underneath their feet to power that whole country. I don't know whether they are or trying to or developing technologies to harness the power of that. But I can remember years ago, and I've definitely forgot more than I can remember. But they were talking about like a power station that what they would do is they would drill, and you could basically do this anywhere. But what you would do is you would drill down so far into the Earth's crust that it would be warm due to the magma and all that jazz or what have you, and then you would use that natural heat, and then it would just basically be a steam generator, a steam turbine. I remember hearing something about that years ago. I don't know why. I've not heard about it recently. Anyway, talk shite.
But it will need to find a replacement. For now, Russia's gas is still flowing into Europe. And while there's uncertainty over how long the war will last, it's highlighted the changes we need to make our energy more secure. Rebecca Morrell, BBC News.
The Health Secretary has said a rise in COVID infections was to be expected following the easing of restrictions in England. Sajid Javid said that the UK remains in a very good position, but he urged adults eligible for a booster jab to come forward and get it. The latest data shows an increase in cases across the UK.
The dominant variant here in the UK is 99.9.
Bring back the gold standard, mint our own money,
Omicron infections.
call it
and whilst
global
the
clean
rate
cash.
has gone up modestly in the last few days.
I'm kind of with you, mate. I don't think going to a gold standard is the way forward. You get a country and you get enough people behind you to agree collectively that you're going to back a currency with the work of the country. It's all voluntary, you know. Like nobody's going to put a gun to somebody's head to like participate in this shit. And then you can print your own money, because like the current money we've got that we need to loan, that we need to borrow off of banks is fiat anyway. There's nothing backing it. So why not print our own direct fiat currency backed with the labour of the agreed collective? Now I know that wouldn't work internationally and all that shit. And there's people with more brain cells than me that won't fucking see all the problems with it and stuff, but Age of Crocodilla, how you doing, my man?
Expected as we are now open as a country and there's more social mixing, but there's nothing in the data at this point in time that gives us any cause for concern.
For the first time in more than a year, people in France will be allowed to go into shops and work without wearing masks.
Welcome to Monday.
The country's relaxing more of its COVID rules, including having to show proof of vaccination in places like restaurants and cafes. Criminal barristers in England and Wales have voted to take industrial action unless the government meets their demands to put more money into the legal aid system. Almost 2,000 members of the Criminal Bar Association voted to stop taking on last-minute work from next month.
Sue them!
Stricter rules requiring online shoppers to prove their identity come in today. The measures, which won't apply to smaller purchases, are designed to protect people from fraud. Many firms have already brought in changes.
Right, here's an idea to protect people from fraud. Do away with the contactless payment, which is so open to abuse, it is a joke. And leads you to believe, what the fuck is the contactless payment thing all about? Because it certainly isn't a step in the forward when it comes to security.
Which include texting customers with a code and using...
Do you know what, mate? The Victoria Derby shite. I hope this is the same. I hope this is the right woman. Oh, fuck, there's an American Key Adams. There we go. BBC Scotland. Now, these two women are out the same test tube, I tell you, man. Right, just look at Kay Adams. I'm trying to get a good look here. And then look at
smartphone face recognition technology.
Woohoo!
Prince Charles will
they're the same women, man. I've not seen them in the stuff. I've not seen them together ever. I think it's the same drag queen, obviously, that just puts on a different accent and character. I know it. I used DARPA facial recognition technology.
The Queen at the annual Commonwealth Day service this afternoon at Westminster Abbey. The event is a celebration of Commonwealth nations. It's the first time the Queen will have missed the event in almost a decade. Our royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell.
They do look. I don't know if it's just me, but they do like Catch you after, Alan.
Yes, well, of course, the
My
Queen's
man.
commitment to the Commonwealth has been one of the abiding themes of her reign. She will issue her Commonwealth Day message as normal this afternoon, but she will not be attending the Commonwealth Day service here at Westminster Abbey. Her place, as you said, will be taken by
We
the
all
Prince of
know
Wales.
the Queen's
Now, it is
dead,
not because
and
of
it's
illness,
double
we
that's doing the
understand, but of
stuff
course,
now,
whenever it's a health
and
issue,
she's going to do
Buckingham
her
Palace becomes
golden
very
jubilee or
coy
something,
and vague.
and then she'll
It's to do
die
with her comfort, we
peacefully
understand.
in her
Now, for that,
sleep.
read
Couple of
mobility
weeks, so
issues.
mark my
We know
words.
that the Queen now uses
She won't be
stickers
live
as
for
much
more than
just
2
over a
months
month
after
ago
her
at
jubilee.
Sandringham, when she met people in the Sandringham ballroom, and then
It's
again
a
at Windsor Castle.
body
in an
double,
audience
you know,
with
she
defence
died ages
officials.
ago.
She said, "I can't move." Now, it is a matter
See,
of
she
record.
can't move.
She has over the years had
She can't
issues
move.
with
She's
her
obviously
knees. For example,
dead.
in 2003, she had keyhole surgery on her right knee to remove some torn cartilage. It's also
Oh,
a matter of
I know,
record, of
mate.
course,
All
that
the,
her mother
all
had,
the,
hip replacement operations well
all the
into her
royal
90s. Now,
reporters are
clearly,
the
we
same,
don't
aren't
know
they?
whether the Queen's doctors would be considering
they
any
get there for
intervention of
a
that sort,
particular
but certainly the Queen will be hoping to be here
reason,
at
if
Westminster
you know
Abbey
what I
for
mean.
the service of Thanksgiving for the Duke of Edinburgh on March the 29th.
I'm trying to remember
Thank you very much, Nick.
her name.
Cricket and England's
There
women
was a
have
woman.
suffered another defeat in their defence of the World Cup. They set South Africa 236 to win and went down by 3 wickets with 4 balls to
Oh, there's
spare.
the monotone
England will need to
ranger.
win all of their 4 remaining matches and hope other results go their way to get to the semi-finals. Joe Curry reports.
Down and now possibly out of the World Cup. England's dreams of defending their trophy almost over. One of their biggest problems of late has been inconsistent batting, and once
There's
again
the
that was their
monotone
downfall.
ranger.
She's held on as
Yeah.
early wicket after early wicket fell. Tammy Beaumont, though, dug in, as did Amy Jones, both reaching half centuries. But with no other notable knocks, England
The
set
most-
South Africa an attainable target. The pressure was now on
Thing that
England's
annoys me
bowlers.
most about
no! And fielders. Laura Wolfard dropped on 4.
women playing
There was an early
particular
breakthrough.
sports
Lizelle Lee gone for 9.
is them shouting.
The errors and frustrations also continued.
Because it's like
Wolfard dropped again.
it's
England,
like
their
listening
own worst
to
enemy,
like
as South
10-year-old
Africa
boys
started to build a
fighting.
healthy score. The bowlers kept up the pressure and with a little luck,
It's like, oh my
headed
lord,
for a nail-biting
lord.
finish. But it was their opponents who kept their nerve in the closing stages.
Can you not be
they batted out
baking
the
me a
match
cake?
and the victory.
It's one of those ones where stuff's just not clicking.
I'm doing this because
we're
the show I
fighting
done
hard,
last Friday
throughout,
got hit with a
to get
copyright
in the
strike
match, but
because
we
of
just,
fucking.
couldn't get over the line.
I mean, like, it
England
was
now
no more
face
than
India
10
on Wednesday,
seconds
knowing their
of
World
like
Cup hopes hang
footage
by a
of
thread.
the
Joe
after
Curry, BBC News.
shit of the football. But anyway,
The BAFTA TV and Film Awards were back in person last night following last year's COVID-safe virtual
oh,
ceremony.
Cumbersnatch.
Western, The Power of the Dog, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, was named Best Film, with its director Jane Campion.
And then he
taking
says
the
you've
Best
taken an
Director.
axe murderer
And Joanna
because he's
Scanlon
virtue
won Best
signalling
Actress for
fucking
her role
Snatch.
as a widow uncovering secrets in the British film After Love. Many of the stars also used the night to send messages of support to the people of
She's no longer staying in Buckingham Palace. I can't remember where she has moved to. Is it like Windsor or some shit? In fact, I don't know. I'm not going to even guess and make a fool of myself. I do know it's where Prince Philip is buried. So wherever Prince Philip is buried, she's going to now stay there full time. RT Really True News. Mate, I guarantee there's YouTube channels called Really True News. It's true! So true, it's in the name. I'm a truther, don't you know? Truther's my game. Truthin's my game.
Ukraine. Our culture editor, Katie Razzle, reports.
I genuinely think she's dead, mate. I think it's a stunt double. Go and look at her, man. Go and look at her when she's doing her public fucking events. The way she speaks and that. It's not her.
Overshadowed
Sandringham.
by war, but back
Thank
in
you,
person.
Method in my
And on the
madness.
BAFTA red carpet, small tokens in honour of Ukraine, including from Stephen Graham, up for Best Actor, and 13-year-old Woody Norman, up for Best Supporting Actor, the youngest person nominated for a BAFTA this year.
I would just like to send my love and prayers to the people of Ukraine and hope for a world that promotes peace and not war.
Sporting a badge in Ukrainian flag colours, another Best
Horse
Actor nominee,
country can
Benedict
be.
Cumberbatch, told us he hopes to open his home to refugees and wanted to show solidarity with the people of Ukraine.
What we all have to do is continue to help in any which way we can, whether it's through donations, housing refugees, all of which I'm looking to do and have done. So, yeah.
My God, what a virtue signalling fucking wee arsehole, man. Fucking cumber snatch. I hope he gets a fucking axe murderer and ends up dead. Because they'll have to publicise it, you know, because there's going to be deaths, there's going to be fights, there's going to be fucked up shit happening with these crazy ass East Europeans fucking jacked up on vodka one night. People don't know what they're fucking opening their fucking doors to, I tell you.
But as some of the film industry's best-known faces came together inside London's Royal Albert Hall, sitting alongside one another here for the first time in 2 years, movies took centre stage in a ceremony hosted by the comedian and actress Rebel Wilson.
Tonight, we are celebrating many great films and the beautiful people that make them.
You know what we should do?
What's that?
Period western The Power of the Dog left with the top awards for Best Director and Best Film, though the legendary Jane Campion wasn't there to pick them up.
Only for the...
You're talking about the UK column, Bright? Are they still about? Or are you talking about the monotone ranger? From the independent 21st Century Wire, who was independently brought to me back in the day by Alex Jones.
Benedict Cumberbatch was the favourite for Best Actor for his role as a repressed rancher.
I've just realised
he lost out.
That's going to be all copyrighted up the shitter as well.
Jane Campion's behalf.
Yeah, so BAFTA, I'd like... Oh, no, damn it, that's my speech. Oops. You don't lose to Will Smith, you win being in his company.
So what'd you think?
Will Smith wasn't at the ceremony to pick up his Best Actor gong.
Did a Ukrainian film no one? Oh shit.
Venus and Serena Williams in King Richard. It's the first time he has won a BAFTA. Another first was Joanna Scanlon, who beat off Lady Gaga and others for Best Actress in After Love, playing a Muslim convert uncovering her dead husband's secrets.
Lady Gaga's doing actress!
We have to thank
with
BBC,
fucking
BFI,
dimension of
Lottery
I woke
for
up
making
in.
small films get made. Thank you, thank you.
With these awards celebrating small
We
and
should do a
big films,
film.
Best supporting
Somebody
actress
put
went
his
to
sleep
Ariana
about
DeBose for her energetic
19. No,
portrayal
just
of Anita in
the
West
day
Side
before
Story.
9/11,
Speaking after the
and then they
ceremony,
woke
she was
up
asked
nowadays.
about the BAFTA set against
Woo,
the
man,
backdrop
what
of
the
war
fuck's
in
going on, man?
We still have to celebrate life. We celebrate the beauty of it, but we also acknowledge how trying these times are. And at the end of the day, storytelling is, like I said,
Oh, that's
that
a
moves
Ukrainian.
hearts and
Oh,
minds, and it's a privilege to be a
they
storyteller.
were. Don't worry.
In the
They were killed with My Little Pony munitions, so they're all right.
In Coda, playing a deaf father whose hearing daughter wants
I don't
to
know,
sing.
Shug. That's a good idea. That's a good question.
He's the first deaf actor ever to win a BAFTA, and he had an idea for what's next.
What the
Have
fuck?
you
How did
considered
that?
maybe a deaf James Bond? 008?
Oh my god, man. No, I can't show that. It'll be all copyright. That's what you call virtue
And in
signaling,
a
innit?
good night for British movie making, Sir Kenneth Branagh's Belfast won Outstanding British Film. Katie Razzle, BBC News.
Katie Wazzle!
William Hurt, the Oscar-winning actor whose roles range from 1980s dramas to Marvel films, has died aged 71.
Oh, it's alright with
Entertainment
some
correspondent
random
Lisa Mizimba has
celebrity
been looking
deaths.
back at his life.
This man's death matters more because we say so.
Body Heat, a sexually charged thriller, was the film that made Hollywood sit up and really notice William Hurt.
I need tending. I need someone to take care of me.
Get married.
I just need it for tonight.
The classically trained actor played a womanizing lawyer opposite Kathleen Turner. It brought him critical acclaim. Even more was to come 4 years later, thanks to Kiss of the Spider Woman.
Like a turban.
About two prisoners in a Brazilian jail.
Her fingernails painted a rosy peach.
It won Hurt the Best Actor Oscar.
There we go, mate. He does his own internet
But he said what
database.
meant even more was how it connected with audiences.
Much more important.
Voldemort.
Years later, from a woman
Zelensky
who had seen it a number of times, and she detailed in the most wonderful language everything you or I could have wanted anyone to see in that film.
The following 2 years brought two very different Oscar-nominated performances.
After a brief dogfight,
Broadcast news underlined his skill with
it's not
lighting
every
material.
president in the world that
reporter
can say
with
that
good
he's on
looks but
internet
limited
movie
talent,
database.
often reliant on his more gifted producer.
You're an amazing woman. What a feeling having you inside my head.
In Children of a Lesser God, he learnt sign language to play a teacher at a school for deaf children. It was on this film that he met and began a relationship with his co-star Marlee Matlin.
You are the most mysterious, beautiful person I have ever met.
Over 20 years later, she said that the relationship had been at times abusive and that at one point he'd raped her. There was never any official investigation that convicted or cleared him. Without addressing the specific rape allegation, he did say that he apologised for any pain he had caused her. In more recent years, he found an audience.
Now that is fucked up, man, innit? It's almost like beyond belief. I mean, like it was crazy enough when you had Trump morphing from the apprentice into the presidency of America. And you're like, oh my god, he's just been training for that fucking position for ages in the reality TV show. And he did, because he very quick-witted, snappy, bull, fucking coming at you, you know? Donald Trump had that going for him. This cunt, full-on fucking actor, come producer, come director. I mean... so when you're talking about Wag the Dog and stuff like that, this guy is like the prime dude. And then he started a production company, and all the people that worked within the production company then became members of the administration. Oh man, mental. Anyway, so you can go and look at that for yourselves. There's my moose loose about the house. Oh no, I can't show that.
With younger viewers as a senior government figure in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
The world owes the Avengers an unpayable debt. But while a great many people see you as heroes, there are some who would prefer the word vigilantes.
Professionally, he'll be remembered as
I think that's why so many
versatile talents.
Angry Glaswegians have wrinkly foreheads.
William Hurt, who has died at the age of 71. The city of Lviv in western Ukraine has so far been a relatively safe haven for many Ukrainians fleeing the violence. But yesterday's attack on a Ukrainian military training base about 40 miles from Lviv is the most westerly so far in Ukraine, and a sign that the fight...
Oh my god, man. See, the more bullshit you hear from the BBC and the Western press about this, and you're like, why, how are they painting this is the worst bombing yet because of how west it is? It's like, here's the news flash for you. If Russia wasn't willing to bomb anywhere in Ukraine, all the Ukrainian soldiers and shit that's going to kill Russia would go to places that Russia aren't going to bomb. Anyway, let's listen to Kay Adams.
Fighting is spreading across the country. Our correspondent Jonah Fisher has this report on life in the city of Lviv.
Ukraine's glory and freedom have not yet perished. Luck will still smile on our fellow Ukrainians.
You don't sound
In Lviv's
Ukrainian.
Rynok Square, the first two lines of the national anthem have an added poignancy. Outmanned and alone, Ukraine resists Russia's bloody, steady advance.
Outman and alone. I thought they were winning the war. I'm really, really confused. They can't get this fucking story straight whether Ukraine are winning or losing. Which leads me to believe they're losing. But they need to blow smoke up their own troops' arse for morale reasons.
Under attack from land and air, more than 2 million people have left. Vera and Svenislava are very much still here.
Vera, will you stay or will you go?
I will stay. We will all stay.
My husband and I are 78. We will keep standing until the end on what is our land.
For the first 2.5 weeks of this war, this western part of Ukraine has been relatively calm, a safe haven and a route out for those trying to flee the conflict. But there have been signs in the last few days that that might be changing.
Over the weekend, preparations
Ninja stars!
as an army training base near Poland was hit, and last night a communications tower in the city of Rivne.
I mean, like, that's all subjective. You could say that there was a base that was hit that was near Jakarta. I mean, like, who determines how close it has or hasn't to be before you can say it's near?
Russia may be trying to squeeze Ukraine's supply routes from Europe. In Lviv, the statue...
Russia may be the supply... in Russia's war effort, it wants to stop the continuous flow of arms coming in from Europe. That's why the more I hear about this, the more I think that strike did fucking kill a lot of foreign legions. They can't admit it, obviously. No, they're there illegally, and they're fighting illegally. They've got no legal protections granted to them as Western citizens because they're over there fighting in an illegal war. So they'll just have to get buried in a hole somewhere.
Statues have been wrapped as the tension rises and the strikes get closer. One of Ukraine's most beautiful cities is bracing.
60,000 Ukrainians trapped in a pocket in East
in Western Ukraine.
Well, Jonah is here with me now. And Jonah, when
Hello,
you and
Romulan.
I walk around this city, it feels fairly normal. Is that deceptive?
Yeah, in many ways, it does feel pretty normal here in Lviv at the moment. You can go out in the street, you can go to the restaurant, you can go to a cafe. But there is a sense, I think, that the mood is changing here. There have been now air raid sirens the last 3 nights. There have been strikes.
Right, so it's normal, but there's a sense the mood is changing. These are fucking fear and doom merchants, motherfuckers. And anyway, man, you look like a fucking lesbian golfer. Mate.
Fairly close to here, people are acutely aware of what is going on.
You best grow a beard and don't walk around with fucking golf clubs.
You walk down the street and you'll see statues here are wrapped up against what might be possible bombardment coming this way. So yeah,
what might be possible up to probably fucking used car salesman shit, man. Honestly, I still need to do this, but I don't know how long. I don't know how far in the past you would have to go to get news reports when news reports actually reported facts and news. I'm standing here on a day it is raining, there is a blue car, the blue car is Michael Knight's and it said hello to me. Right, facts. Now they're up there like that. Yes, well, maybe, possibly up to, it could be the most warm day, or maybe, we don't know if the kids are dying from starvation, or obesity. Let's ask a football player. He'll be able to maybe tell us. But in the meantime, change your icons and take in some refugees. Fuck me, man. I wonder if there is actually any real news anywhere left.
I think the time when Lviv was considered a real safe haven may be coming to end. People are acutely aware of that.
6 million
and,
refugees,
there are some indications in terms of what is being hit by the Russians in western Ukraine, that they could be looking to try and cut off what is Ukraine's great supply route at the moment, that link to Poland, that route whereby people can get out of here and they can also get supplies back in. And of course, crucially for the Russians, those supplies that are coming back into Ukraine include military supplies. So we may be going to see quite a lot of more targeting of things in this part of Ukraine.
Thank you very much.
Oh my god, how dare fucking hell, Russia! You're only allowed to hit these sites, okay? Fucking, that's that mad Putler. I told you he was mad! He's meant to ask the people he's having a war with where he is allowed and where he's not allowed to hit. Doesn't he know that? Did he not read the Western rulebook that they print as they go along of war?
Jonah Fisher there. Well, it is a beautiful spring-like day here in Lviv. Time now to take a look at the weather back.
Mate, we're not going to have any fruit prickers. The Ukrainians are going to be paid money to sit in their fucking arse. Because they've got blonde hair and blue eyes. I heard a rumour that there's brown people in France whiting up and learning how to put on Ukrainian accents. Get out of my job. Yes, my name is Sergi. My name is Sergi. Yes, I'm a mime. That's why my face is white. I'm French. Anyway, sorry, back to the Romulan.
Here's Thomas Shakalaka.
Yeah, Thomas Shakalaka!
Very good afternoon to you. The weather's...
Shakalaka! Oh my god, that's a quality name. I've not seen Mr. Shakalaka before. Right, so there you go, Wag a Dog News. You've seen a bit of RT, you've seen a bit of the BBC, same shit, different stories. The BBC showing you the death from that side, and RT showing you all the death from that side. And then obviously both of them painting each other as the good guy and the other side as the bad guy. But par for the course. So I'm going to fake off and do what I need to do for the rest of the afternoon. Thanks for joining, everybody. If you do get shits and giggles and enjoy what I do, make sure you do thumbs it up. It's much appreciated. It helps the algos. It helps me sleep at night. Gives me good dreams. Sleep easies. So stick a wee thumbs up if you do appreciate it. Tune in tomorrow at 1 o'clock. But because of the RT streams, I'll be going live at about 10 to 5 to. And then top of the hour for RT news because of the way the stream is working now. You can't pause it or whatnot. So thanks everybody for joining. Bright, Alex, Method Man, the Terminator 2D dab. Shit, wrong thingy. Oh my lordy lord. Cheech, thanks for joining, guys. Shug, thanks for joining, buddy. Bright was in as well. Alex, 2D. Age of, thanks for joining, my man. The Rebel. Davo was in earlier as well. Thank you, Davo, for joining, my man. Alan as well was in earlier but had to fuck off. Dr. Gloom. So thanks everybody for joining. Enjoy the rest of your miserable afternoon if you're in the UK. If your weather's anything like it is up here in Glasgow. And I'll just say bye for now, the Romulan. And you can leave me a comment about what you think about the new intro. Catch yous tomorrow, boob tubes. Have a good one. Catch yous. Keeps clips. And remember, citizens, always subscribe and hit the bell. Everything will be well in 1995. Plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell. Why does a dog wag its tail? Because a dog is smarter than its tail. If the tail were smarter, the tail would wag the dog. Wag the dog in politics is the act of creating diversion from a damaging issue. Here at Wag the Dog News, the tail doesn't wag the dog. Enjoy. Keeps clip. And remember, citizens, always subscribe. Hit the bell. Everything will be well. 1995. Plus shipping and handling will keep you out of hell.